to my channel, they call me Her, they call me Jane, but that's not my name, as this is an anonymous account for now. Hi guys, how are you doing? Wow, what a week it has been. Don't mind me, I'm just sorting. Where has that gone? It's been a week, hasn't it? Like, I've just, don't get me wrong, I love the sun. I love the sun. The sun does not like me. I am very pale and burn very easily and all the rest of it. My house is like a greenhouse, and so not that I want to complain, it's just very, very warm. So I hope you're all looking after yourselves, drinking lots of water, doing all the right things, enjoying the sunshine where you are. As I said in my last video, I wanted to talk to you about step change, and I took on a lot of your guys' comments, and I don't know how to explain this, but I do listen to everything everybody says, but also I take things with a pinch of salt as well, because obviously these are our personal circumstances. So as much as I am in admiration and applaud some of you that have gone through the process, and you know, whether that's through step change or yourself or, you know, any other reason, I do have to be really honest here and say that this is my experience, and I'm not a financial advisor, so everything I'm about to share with you is not applicable to anybody else but me, and I will share all the details for step change in the description. And if you want to get that advice for yourself, please do so. But as I said, I'm not a financial advisor. What I'm about to go through with you only applies to me. But of course, options like step change are there for everybody that needs them. So now with that over, if you played the game last week, thank you very, very much. You should see your comments on the screen. As per usual, I read each and every one, and I adore you all very, very much for engaging and joining with me. It's very much appreciated. So now that I've waffled on for a little bit already, I'm essentially going to treat this video a little bit like more of an informative vibe, but just more applicable to us. And I know some of you guys have been on this journey with me from the very beginning, and so hopefully this answers some questions for you as well. But also I kind of just want this video to be out there that actually, if it's going to help anybody else that's kind of looked into this and done the research, you might just be able to see my laptop in the corner here where I've made some notes, then that's great and wonderful. And I really do hope it may also help somebody else. So I suppose first of all, I should explain what Step Change is for those that don't know. So Step Change is a charity in the UK that gives step advice. It's free, it's confidential and impartial, and they don't charge any fees, which is a massive a thing. Like, there are some companies that charge fees, and I feel like if you don't have to pay a fee, why would you? So that's always worth looking at. And essentially, my experience of it is I filled out a little online quiz on their website, and it gave me the option to give them a call. And after a lot of anxiety driven back and forth, I finally did it, and I will talk through with you what happened. So while you are here, if you would like to subscribe to my channel if you like my content, I would really, really appreciate it. It helps me make more videos like this, and I would love you all very, very much. So let's get into it. I called Step Change. I did it alongside my partner, and very lovely, friendly Liverpudlian voice on the phone talked us through our options. Now, bear in mind that our current debt total sits at 66,000 and a little bit. It's just over 66,000. We were just under 70 when we started at the beginning of the year, and we've made progress, but slow progress. And so we kind of explained all of this to the advisor on the phone and said, you know, we want to know our options. We don't want to agree to anything just yet, but we want to know where we stand and where things might go if we choose, you know, which one, etc. So I got a bit emotional, I won't lie, and I think it's that idea of you're telling, although I tell all of you you're almost ringing it in admittance that you can't do this anymore, and you are struggling to a complete stranger that actually might have the power to help or advise. And it was a massive relief, I suppose, is the best word to explain it with. That's the best way. And so essentially what happened was they did a full assessment of our financial situation. So this is what I mean when it applies just to us. So it was our income, our outgoings, assets, the nature of the debt. So is it secured versus an unsecured secured loan? Is it a priority debt such as a utility or rent? All of those kind of things, and went through everything that we owed to the penny. We wrote it all down, and obviously what's really handy is that I do these videos, and so I'm very on top of where we are with our payments and things, so that did come in handy. And I would fully recommend, if you do want to ring someone like StepChange, just for your own purposes first, make sure you've written down everything that you owe to anybody, family loans, anything, overdrafts, all of it. Just have that figure and breakdown with you. I suppose I was, the next bit of the conversation, I was a bit, I don't really know, because the advisor themselves expressed what an enormous number it was, which then made me more emotional, and said something that you should probably never say to me, which was, you'll never pay it on your own. And when I explained to you that please don't ever say never to me, runs through my brain, my being so strong, probably is why I'm so stubborn, and maybe even why I'm in this position, who knows. So that instantly kind of got up my back a little bit, but I persevered and I listened. And so they then sort of gave the options of what we could have, and I suppose I kind of just want to run through how that, sorry, you'll probably hear my eldest as well, how that applies to us. So what there's three options basically that we can go through. The first was the debt management plan, which is an informal agreement between us and our creditors, and we essentially would pay back what StepChange would deem that we can afford to pay back. They'd negotiate with the creditors, so it's not up to us. Like that's a discussion I'll have on our behalf, and it's to reduce all of those payments into one single monthly payment to StepChange, and then they will distribute it to everybody. So obviously that all sounds well and good. It sounds like, you know, it could be a really good plan, and the pros of that are it's going to be more affordable for us. It would reduce that outgoing massively. It's one payment, so we haven't got to worry about anybody changing or interest rates necessarily going up. I'll come back to that in a moment. Or, you know, the different payment dates throughout the month and the rest of it. We haven't got to handle it ourselves. Potentially, interest and charges will be frozen. It's not guaranteed, but they can often agree to freeze. They can often freeze interest and charges, which obviously means that more the money you're paying goes towards paying off your debt, but that's not guaranteed. And it's not legally blinding either, which I honestly thought it was, and it means you can cancel at any time, but then obviously, however, you then have to work out how you're paying it back, obviously, if you come out of that agreement. And then also it's not recorded on the insolvency register. So those are the pros, really, of a debt management plan. But the cons are the debt's obviously not written off at the end, perhaps like an IVA. There is an impact on your credit rating. Like I said before, the creditors aren't legally obligated to agree to this debt management plan, or freeze the interest, or not take you to court, or pursue a CCJ, all the rest of it, which to me is terrifying. And it's only for unsecured debts. So you would need to look after like priority debts yourself, so rent, council tax, utility bills, those type of things can't be included. Those don't apply to us, so that's a good thing, but it could be a big thing for other people. And obviously the time itself could be quite lengthy. It's because I think it can be sort of, it's dependent on what you owe, but also it can just carry on and on and on. So until you pay the debt. And so that was a big thing for us of saying, okay, well, we already have committed to paying out the amount that we pay out on a monthly basis. Is it affordable? Probably not as much as it could be, no. But do we want to stretch out that debt even longer with not everybody necessarily agreeing to reduce or freeze the interest? So that was something to think about. The other option is an IVA, which is a legally binding agreement, and basically an insolvency practitioner gets you involved. They make up a repayment plan, and that can last between 5 or 6 years. And obviously the biggest pro to that is that a significant portion of the debt would be written off at the end of the IVA if you follow and complete the terms for your IVA period, which again, between 5 and 6 years. So the pros is obviously the debt being written off after a certain time. It would give us a timeline of going, right, at this date, and you know, that last payment, we would be debt free. It's legally binding, so it would offer us protection from further harassment, court action, bailiffs, all of those type of scary things. And they are legally obligated to freeze interest and charges. The cons, obviously, impact on credit rating, and there's a public record. You will go onto the insolvency register, which is publicly accessible, and again, severely impacts your credit rating for 6 years from approval, even if the IVA lasts longer, which is good to note. There are fees involved, and while StepChange doesn't charge any upfront fees, there are fees for the insolvency practitioner, but those are deducted from the monthly payments before creditors are paid. So there is a fee, but it's not directly payable, if that makes sense. And obviously it's legally binding, so if you fail, there are then legal complications to that, and it may lead to bankruptcy. And the other sort of thing is there's more restrictions on your lifestyle or profession, especially if you hold certain positions. And for us, that ruled out this option for us of an IVA. I won't divulge necessarily what me and my partner do or what we do outside our work. That, how do I explain this without giving it away? It would mean that the activities we do outside of work, and it's charity based, we would no longer be able to pursue because of this. And so for us, on top of the other sort of cons of an IVA, the sort of the scariness of it being a legally binding public record, like all of it kind of instantly threw up the, oh my goodness me. So we ruled out the IVA from that. And then the third option is bankruptcy. And again, that at the moment isn't where we would be, because that is kind of last resort, you know, it can give you that fresh start, but it's a formal legal process, and while it writes off all the unsecured debts, you're bankrupt. And I think for me, that's really, really scary. And it's shorter in that it lasts for 12 months, but it will remain on your credit file for 6 years as the other ones do. But you can lose your house, your car, any savings you might have. There's severe restrictions on financial activities, again, certain professions. And so for us, that was ruled out as well. The other option is a debt relief order that's across England, Wales and Northern Ireland, but that our debt is too high for that. I think the debt limit is something like 30 or 50,000. I'm not 100% sure. But obviously we owe more than that, so that isn't applicable to us at this time. So the big question is, what do we say to StepChange? StepChange presented us with all those options and said that our debt management plan would work the best, which we did agree with. However, we said no for now. And that is the crucial part of this, is that for now, we're not going to go through with the debt management plan through StepChange. I think for us, it was a massive eye-opener just to go from us being in debt and paying it off to that jump of, wow, okay, the options that we now know, so don't get me wrong, I don't regret calling them, but the options that we now know are there, is quite scary. And yes, it would benefit us financially on a month-to-month basis. I think the guy worked it out that would be about £500 a month better off, which is obviously a huge amount of money, and not to be sniffed at, don't get me wrong. But I feel like for us, we spoke about it afterwards and instead have made this plan, which I am going to share with you. So I think that's all I can really say on that. Obviously, I'm very conscious of the fact that this isn't just me in this situation, it's me and my partner. We've both got different views, we both have different opinions, but ultimately we want to work together and do what's best for our family. So we've decided that we are going to spend the next year to 18 months as a timeline to do everything we can do as individuals to pay off the debt without involving somebody like StepChange. Not, like I said, not that they're not wonderful and great at what they do, it's just not for us for now. So a big thing for us was, we've learned over the years, especially having a child with additional needs, that you don't know what's just around the corner. And a lot of that may be that we may have to move, we may need new jobs, we may need to take time off for our eldest, for care. There's a lot of different factors here that aren't necessarily solid for the next foreseeable 5-6 years. It's also potential that we could earn more during that time, so we may be able to repay things faster. And for both of us, we wanted to be more in control of things ourselves. Although it feels, being able to hand over something to somebody and then them speak to creditors and then organise payments, etc., is wonderful. I want to control this as much as I can first, and I would like to do what I can before I hand over our financial means and our financial decisions to somebody else. And again, like I've always said, this is just a personal choice, it's just a personal decision, but that is a big thing for us. So the plan now is there's going to be a couple things that we do. The first one is I want to look into affordability complaints. I've done a little bit of research, and as many of you said before, how on earth have you got into that much debt? Anyway, very valid point. And so I feel like the first thing to do, it's going to take me some time, but is to write some out affordability complaints, see what responses I get back, take it to the financial ombudsman, as do you know what I mean? Like, there might be something that is amiss. I do believe that I shouldn't have been given as much credit as I should have on the wages that I was on. So we are going to pursue that. That's step one. Step two is, I say step one, step two, but I mean kind of simultaneously, but you know what I mean, is we're going to choose a credit card to contact and see if the interest can be frozen and make a payment plan for that, so that the potentially the interest can stop happening on that card. We're trying to decide whether we go with the lowest card so that we can pay that off quicker, move on to another card, do the same thing, or whether we just go straight to the highest number card and just keep it on one and work its way down. That's a conversation to have another time. But yeah, so step 2 is then essentially contacting these people ourselves and potentially being able to pay it faster than if lots of different payments, one payment was spread out between lots, if you know what I mean. Like that's kind of where that is. So we need to look at that. On top of that, we've said that obviously a goal by the end of this year was to have a debt less than £60,000, and that includes, even if it's just a penny less, at 59,999.99, just needs to be less than 60,000. If we meet that goal, which is in 6 months' time, that is our ticket to move forward another 6 months to this time next year and reevaluate where we are. Because by that standard, we should be under 55,000. And as similarly, if we meet that goal by December, we should be under 50,000. And yes, is it slow progress? But is it managed by us? Also, yes. And I feel like I said, we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know what's going to change. We don't know what circumstances, for good, or bad, better or worse, might happen. That's why we've said no. There's a couple of other factors in this too. We understand that me saying now, oh, we'll manage it ourselves and it'll be frugal and the rest of it, like, it seems a bit hypocritical because obviously why haven't we done that already? And it's true. Do I feel like we've been as frugal as we possibly can? No. A lot of you probably can attest to that from my past videos and what I've spent my money on. Do I regret it? No. Are we learning? Yes. I see that there. But I do think that this is the best choice for us, and the value of debt advice has been amazing. And I'm not, like I said, I am not saying that free, impartial debt advice from someone like StepChange is not for us. Of course it is for us. And I just want to emphasise that this plan is for now, maximum 18 months, and then we need to reevaluate. And so I may be coming to you in 6 months, a year, 18 months time and saying, do you know what, we've taken the DMP. We've done our best, we've done the affordability complaints, we've been tracking spending, we've tried to do our, and it's just not getting us anywhere. Is it potentially adding another year to 18 months onto our timeline? Because then obviously then if we enter a DMP and it's 5-6 years, potentially more, because the DMP is until you pay it off. Yeah, potentially making it longer, but I think I just want to try every avenue we can first. It's our fault we're in this debt. Some circumstances, not necessarily entirely our fault, and it was a needs must situation, but so be it. That's done and dusted. As it stands, we are at £66,000, like I said, just over. And so we have made a dent, albeit a small one, in the grand scheme of things. And I hope that you guys can understand that while I have, gone to StepChange, it's ultimately still our decision and still how we want to proceed with things. I really hope you'll join me for the journey and that you'll be here and see what happens. And I honestly can't appreciate you enough for being here with me. It gives me a reason to keep going, and it gives me a reason to keep on top of what we're doing, so I can look back and see what we've achieved and what we could have done better. And I really do hope that by me explaining our decision to not take the DMP at this time, it gives some context, as it will, because for some other people it will be the absolute right thing to do right now, and that's great and wonderful, and I wish almost that we could be in that position, but for our circumstances right now it's not possible. So yeah, that's where we're at. I've been feeling really really sort of getting back to being overwhelmed again. I think probably a lot of it's this, and I think a lot of it is there's some stuff been going on with my eldest, there's been stuff going on with work is amped up beyond belief, and so I'm trying to keep myself in check. I'm trying to keep myself a little bit, you know, looking after my own mental health, looking after myself, and I want to be here for you as much as I can. Thank you as always for being here. It's very, very much appreciated. If you would like to play the game next week, but I'll tell you what, for every person that leaves a comment, I will recognise it. So please leave me an ice cream. It's hot. I hope they do ice creams. They do ice creams? Ice cream desserts. Let's go with that. Ice cream desserts. Well, we'll have that because it's lovely and sunny. So yeah, thank you ever so much as per usual for listening. I adore you all very much. And as always, look after yourselves first, and I will see you next time.